So today we're talking about H.P. Lovecraft, Against the World, Against Life by Michel Houellebecq. For those who don't know, Houellebecq is a French author that's very popular today. He's also very controversial. He writes a lot of sexually explicit things. So when I opened this biography on Lovecraft, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. The message I took home with this book is that Lovecraft was a bit of a strange man. I think he had social difficulties. He basically spent all his time writing, except for a brief period where he ventured out into the city, but he quickly returned to his books and he spent all his life corresponding with fellow writers, and he was really into all that horror stuff. That's what he was thinking about all the time. So what I found in this book was a tribute to H.P. Lovecraft. He was one of those authors that greatly inspired Houellebecq. For those who don't know, Lovecraft was a horror at the beginning of the past century, so in the early 1900s, 1930s or so, and is credited as one of the fathers of the horror genre. So I read some of his stories many years ago. It's very peculiar. So all there's no specific character. All the stories follow this really distinct template. So all the stories are really, all the horror elements are really well described, and it's very scientifically written, and it's a very peculiar thing. And the reason why I wanted to read those stories was because in other books that I was reading, I was seeing references of Lovecraft, and so I was telling myself, well, okay, who is this? I'm going to go check it out for myself. And I actually discovered that in the modern day, Lovecraft has a bit of a cult following. So I wanted to go see what that was. Personally, I thought it was okay, but it wasn't really my favorite thing ever, but I still thought it was really interesting that, 100 years after his death or so, he's managed to gather such a following. So anyway, I read this book, which is, as I said, kind of a short biography that Houellebecq wrote on Lovecraft. They write in completely different, totally different styles. So I thought it was really interesting that Houellebecq, of all the people it could have chosen to do a biography on, it's Lovecraft that he chose. So Houellebecq does a really good job at kind of intertwining, explaining what Lovecraft's life was like, and also talking a little about his writing style. One thing that I thought was really interesting is that, I read the book in French, and Houellebecq is, from what I could tell in the book, he actually read Lovecraft in French too. And maybe he didn't think about this very much, but that is what he read, was a translation. And so, me in real life, I'm actually a translator. I'm a certified translator from English to French. So, this is why I was specifically interested in this. But I don't know if Houellebecq realized, but, all that vocabulary that he was reading, all those stylistic turns, yes, there was definitely a big part of Lovecraft in that, but the translator played an incredible role, because there are as many translations as there are translators. So, we have to give credit to the translator for this, and it would have been nice to hear a little bit more about that. So all in all, I thought that it was a very interesting book. I mean, it was short. It was only 160 pages, so it goes by pretty fast. If you're looking for an introduction to Houellebecq, I would look for something else, because this departs a little bit from his usual style. Usually his style is very nihilistic, lots of negative, but, written in a kind of witty way. Lots and lots of sexual allusions. In this particular book, he managed to mention, make sexual references a lot of times, considering the fact that, that aspect of life was totally irrelevant to Lovecraft. In all his writings, as Houellebecq stated many times, there is no sex and there is no money. I mean, it's pure, senses and the horror, and, the horror of the depth of the universe and that kind of thing. So anyway, Houellebecq managed to insert those references there anyway, even though, it wasn't really relevant to Lovecraft at all. He was only briefly married, and it didn't work out because it seemed like he was, so strange and so socially troubled, we could say. Maybe if he lived today, he would have been diagnosed on the spectrum. I don't know. And and he spent all his life just writing books and writing to his author friends, and and that's what he did. So for a biography, you know, it was a short book. It was pretty entertaining. Houellebecq made it interesting too. He has a really interesting writing style. It's very witty. So all in all, recommended, and let me know if you want to hear more about Houellebecq. And see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.